This is Late Night Politics on StarFM, taking an in-depth look at the Zimbabwean political scene.
It's a Monday and it's time for Late Night Politics, and my name is George Musumba. I hope I find you well. How has been your week politically? That is, I hope that you are following the conversations that are happening in Zimbabwe as candidates vie for your vote. Have you decided yet who you are going to vote for? This program, we will be analyzing a few points which have come out from the various campaigns nationwide. But let's talk about the politics this week. Former President Robert Mugabe convened a press conference at his Blue Roof House for select international and local media. National Patriotic Front spokesperson Jealous Mawarire introduced the media to the president. Is this in any way significant that it was NPF spokesperson Mawarire who did the introductions? What is his relationship with the former President Mugabe? That is another topic for another Late Night Politics, but the interview itself did not bring new information to the fore, apart from the fact that the Mugabes had offered refuge to Professor Jonathan Moyo and Xavier Kasukuwere and their families when the army came for them. Meanwhile, President Emmerson Mnangagwa remained calm and issued a statement buttressing Comrade Robert Mugabe's constitutional rights to express himself as a private citizen. And the seesaw battle between Mr. Nelson Chamisa and Dr. Thokozani Kupe in the MDC continues unabated. The MDC alliance, which is headed by Mr. Chamisa, held two rallies in Kwekwe and Gweru on Saturday and Sunday respectively, whilst Dr. Kupe held another rally in Bulawayo. It seems the bridges have been burned beyond repair, or is it too late for them to unite to fight as a united front? We will wait to see for that one. And finally, President Mnangagwa was in Matebele North on government programs, but he also took time to meet with party supporters. Various messages came out from there. But tonight on Late Night Politics, we get an assessment on the message so far from the main political players as the people decide in 2018. What has been the message so far, and is it enough to convince you to decide who you are voting for? And in the studio, I have media consultant Rashweat Mukundu. Welcome to Late Night Politics.
Thank you, George, and good evening to our listeners.
Yes, and also you are here for the first time. We hope
I'm here for the first time.
We hope that you'll be with us for the long run until July or August when we have elections. We will need your expertise.
I hope so. Despite having so many friends at StarFM, this is the first time I've been invited.
Yes, thank you for coming through. Also, first time here is Felix Mbonderi. He's an author and engineering consultant, but he's also a political analyst and commentator. Welcome, Felix.
Welcome, George. Thank you so much. Good evening, Zimbabwe.
Yes, thank you. We also hope you will be in for the long run. We have a lot of political programming as Zimbabweans really, they become so engrossed with their politics, and we hope that we'll be together until in August, July, August, therein. Last but not least, resident analyst Senzo Mpofu. Uncle, welcome to the program.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, and you?
I'm fine.
Yes. Now, the campaign by the main players so far, what have been some of the take-homes so far? Let me start with you, Rashweat.
Well, I think with ZANU-PF and President Emmerson Mnangagwa, we are getting a consistent message that we are in a new dispensation or a new era, dating back, of course, to the events of November 2017. And his subsequent takeover of the government and the presidency. And he has maintained the message that focus of the new administration would be on economic revival, would be on delivering a free and fair election, would be on national reconciliation and peace building, would be on engagement with the international community. And we have seen quite a significant amount of work around that, with the numerous envoys coming from Western countries. We have seen him crisscrossing the region, engaging with the Southern African countries. And we have also seen him engaging a number of investors. We have come from the region, we have come from outside the country. And it appears to me that this is the core of the electoral message from ZANU-PF, that the ZANU-PF will focus on reviving the economy, will focus on resolving these social and economic challenges that Zimbabwe has been facing over the past 37 years. And on the other side, we have the MDC, now led by Nelson Chamisa, countering the message of a change in Zimbabwe. Essentially, the MDC is saying that what we have is a consistency of the same ZANU-PF as in the past, and they are pointing at the half-hearted approaches, say to anti-corruption, where we have seen only those who appear to be on the other side of ZANU-PF from the events of 2017 being arrested. We have also not seen practically the impact of so much of the investment that has been talked about. So the MDC, I think, is having to rethink its electoral message in light of what appears to be an acceptance of what they've been saying over the years, that we need free and fair elections, that we need a refocus on the economy. So the MDC is having to find ways to counter this ZANU-PF message, and they are of course saying that we need a generational renewal with the 40-year-old presidential candidate Nelson Chamisa. They are saying that we need accountability and transparency in the state management. They are looking at the wastages that have taken place in government in the past. So to me, it's now a battle of ideas, but very much practical ideas. Whereas in the past, elections were fought on ideological grounds, Pan-Africanism, nationalism versus liberal policies. Right now, I think it's a game of ideas. You really have to couch your message that resonates with the issues and the challenges that these people of Zimbabwe are facing. So to me, political parties are having to really think hard about how they sell themselves.
Very interesting point that you raised about ZANU-PF, that even though it is not per se party activities, but whatever he is doing, it's also part of the campaign platform, whether it's engaging with international media. Normally we are used to someone holding a rally and then pointing out the issues that they want the electorate to choose them on. But Vamunangagwa, it seems kuti it's more of government business than kuenda party political activity. You are saying that it's also part of the campaign.
I'm saying it's part of the campaign. President Emmerson Mnangagwa is sending a message that he is a doer. He is not a political orator. He is not going to stand in stadiums and address thousands and reverberate them with political messages. But he is actually saying that I want to do something. And I want you to judge me on what I'm doing, not necessarily the thousands that I bring in a stadium or in a whatever open space and address them. So part of the ZANU-PF electoral campaign is really what the government is doing, which is reorienting the economy, relooking at policies and the re-engagement, and of course putting into motion peace building initiatives, the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission, and the work that they are doing. So to me, I'm not foreseeing Vamunangagwa vachida kuita zvaitwa nevamugabe zvokutaura mazwi ekuti vanhu vanofara kuti vataura zvakati. Ndichaona vachita basa rakawanda. I think mazwi nekutaura kwakawanda tichazviona kuMDC, nekuti chavachaita ivo ndechekuti vaende vanotaura nevanhu, nekuti havana mukana wokuita, nekuti havasati vamuhurumende kana kuti mukutonga nyika.
Thank you very much, Rashweat. That's a very interesting perspective. Let's come to Felix. Your take home so far from the campaigns by the two main parties?
Thank you, George. From the side of ZANU-PF, what I've seen so far is they've taken a more mature, a more measured approach to issues. They are putting a bound between politics and real economic management. So far, we have seen the president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, trying to engage the international community. We have seen him, he has been to Davos, he has been to the region, trying to be on the same wavelength with his colleagues in the region. But more importantly, we have seen him trying to talk about jobs, about the economy, which for a very long time has been stagnating. So we have seen quite an improvement in that regard. But what I wanted to say from the perspective of ZANU-PF especially is we've seen a very energizing, a very good culture in terms of name calling, which was part and parcel of what was happening in the past. we were at a time where the people were being divided on a tribal lines. People were being divided on party factionalism. But so far, he has been very inclusive. We've seen him even reaching out to the opposition, including their late leader, Mr. Morgan Tsvangirai. He reached out to him. He has reached out to the MDC members who were in prison and set them free. We have seen him going across the political bridges, so to speak. So he's trying to reach out, I can say, to the opponents in the MDC and say, look, we are Zimbabweans first. We might differ on where we want to take our country forward, but first and foremost, we are Zimbabweans. First, let's build that basis. So the basis, I think, for the past few months has been laid across. He has set his vision very well in that regard. On the side of the MDC alliance, what I can say is they were caught unawares by the events 1st of November 2017. Their campaign message was like thrown. It was like they were basing their campaign on the fact that there was a very old president who had stayed in power for over 3 decades, and they've tried to redefine themselves from that those events of 2017. But also what happened later with the death of Mr. Morgan Tsvangirai in mid-February, they thrust into leadership position a person who was, I can say, the least unprepared for the role. Why I'm saying unprepared is because since that time, besides the internal factional battles in the party, which is the MDC, we have seen him trying to impress the electorate by taking advantage, probably to say, of some lack of maybe clarity on the government in terms of managing expectations. So we have seen them trying to take advantage of the situation where they're saying, look, these guys are the same. They've been together for 30 years. So there is no change that's going to come around. So they've been trying to put their message across by saying the current president is as good as the old president who was there, and we still have the same problems we had. Yet a close analysis as we go might probably reveal that that's not exactly the case. If we are to be honest with each other, things might have been bad before, but I think there's been quite some changes. So on the side of the MDC, that has been their main strategy, to say, look, nothing has changed here. These guys are taking us for granted. These guys are just the same as those we thought were there before.
Let me bring in Uncle Senzo. You are in the news every day. You are following events. Murkus wona say pamaparties esai kuti pakurira zvakuti tizodya kuti toshara upi toenda kupi.
Politics being politics, the opposition has to have something to say. As Felix has said, that they were caught unaware by the last year's events when there was change of leadership in ZANU-PF government. They are now talking of the age gap between Comrade Mnangagwa and Mr. Nelson Chamisa. They are talking of a new Macron here in Zimbabwe, a guy who speaks about bullet trains and scoffing at Mnangagwa's official launching of diesel trains and so on. Brilliant ideas, but are they practical? We don't have the $15 billion economy that was supposed to come with the diamonds that were stolen, is what Comrade Mugabe alluded to. So if we had that 15 billion, probably those bullet train ideas could be implemented. But there is nothing. We have to be realistic. We have to start with diesel trains. political parties, fortunately or unfortunately, they take the character of their leader in Africa, especially. There will always be one Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. Comrade Mnangagwa is a different person. The other one was an orator. He spoke a lot about politics, and it was politics. People don't eat politics. That's why Comrade Mnangagwa has come up with the slogan, politics and economy, because people need jobs. So we are seeing these major players now tussling it out. You are old. Someone saying I'm experienced. Someone talking of a bullet train. Someone talking and saying no, we know exactly where we went astray. This is where we are going to begin. In terms of the campaigns, it will be very, very difficult in some regions for political parties to really penetrate. Probably we'll come to that later.
Rashweat, the messaging, let's go to the messaging. I think most people have been bullet train. Is it I know a commenter was written, Mr. Chamisa should now achindo address ngaindane ma bullet points anenge achitoziya. Style ya Chamisa ndeyekuita se parwadzano rwecheche kuti vanenge vachita sevari kuparidza, saka zvimwe zvinogona kuuya zvongouyawo zvozongobuda asi zvisina kunyatso kukwenenzverwa nema-experts nema-statistics anenge achifanirwa kubva nabiti kuti vomuudza kuti aiwa apa pakamira. Is it unfair to really judge him harshly? Let's start from Mutare, where he was saying that he met with officials or Mr. Trump and he had been promised 15 billion, and then the bullet train in Chinoi and so forth. And he's not retracted. He's still insisting that there's someone who called him a Zimbabwean, was designed it for India and so forth.
Well, I think rightly as you put it, George, the facts somewhat remain known to Mr. Chamisa on the investment from the the USA. It could be investment, it could be aid. I think he still needs to to give us details on who he talked to and what the promise was on. But I want to support him on the basis of allowing a generation to dream. Let's look at China in the 80s when Deng took over. China was almost a village in many aspects. And look at where they are right today. Look at Singapore. The only thing that Singapore had was a port. And from there, they dreamt that we could go somewhere. Zimbabwe is far richer than most of the Asian tigers. It could be Indonesia, it could be Malaysia, it could be the Vietnamese, or which other country is on the rise in Asia. And we are far richer as compared to those countries. And if our resources are being harnessed in the right direction, then it is certainly possible for us to dream big. So instead of us thinking that we need to maintain the old pace of development, technology allows you to leap ahead in terms of development. So right now we cannot say that if this method was being used for transportation, for whatever, then we need to start with the 90s or the 80s. And to me, that's what Chamisa has done. And there is quite a lot of political banter. Even 15 billion. Tikaitarisa yakatorwa na President Mugabe. Trade yema diamonds over the past 5, 6, if not 7 years. Haisati 15 billion upa space. Russia ndo inoproduce diamonds akawanda kudarika ipasi race. Havanombotengesa madiamond 15 billion panguva yatiri kutaura. Saka I think politicians, being politicians, vanongotaura zvimwe zvinhu sometimes without getting the facts right, but in the excitement of the crowd. But I certainly agree with you that what Nelson Chamisa and the MDC need to do is to have a coherent message. What are their policies? How are they going to resolve the many issues that Zimbabwe is facing? How different are they from the message that is coming from President Emmerson Mnangagwa. So the MDC certainly needs to develop its own electoral message. And I'm happy that Chamisa said that the document is ready and they are going to be releasing it. And I'm also expecting that President Mnangagwa will also release a ZANU-PF manifesto. For example, what is the new economic model for Zimbabwe? What are the timelines for the resuscitation of NRZ, Air Zimbabwe? What is our foreign policy? What is the economy? What are we completely doing away with the black empowerment, which will be very, very sad if we simply say we want these billionaires to come to Zimbabwe? And what happens to the small industries that have taken place? What happens to CSO and Glenview market, kunogadzirwa masofa and all those things, if we have a big manufacturer who simply takes over that market? So there are also worries within this new economic mantra that is being promoted. What happens even on the land question? When we say, for example, the white commercial farmers will be allowed to come back and whatever, and some of us, there are quite a number of young people, those who read on the land, those who could be looking for land. So for me, I'm expecting that the political parties will give us a more coherent messages on as many policies. What we have right now is all sorts of things that are coming up. Hence the problems with the 15 billion from America, the bullet trains and whatever. If that can be contained in a document that we can read and see its origins and where the plans and the funding, then it will help us better understand. But I also want to say that my political rally, I think one day my politicians, I think they get into the excitement.
Noti kare kazvainzi politician anogona kundotokuvakira ichi dhamu ipo pasina mvura yacho kana kuti bridge pasina rwizi
vobvatayo zvikanzi hatina rwizi dzawatovaka rwizi rwacho.
The program is Late Night Politics. We are discussing the messages coming out from the political parties, and to help me in the discussion I have with me media consultant Rashweat Mukundu. I also have a social and political analyst and commentator, is also an engineering consultant and author, Felix Mbonderi, as well as our resident analyst, Senzo Mpofu. Felix, hanzi naRashweat, message yavachamisa ndeyekuti ngatirotei remangwana. Vamwe vakati aiwa kwatiri kubvawo pangaita here nguva yekuti tirote kana kuti toda kumboita zviri practical. How are you viewing the message coming from the MDC alliance, especially what we have just been discussing? And Rashweat has justified to say, look, we have a huge economy and there's nothing wrong to dare to dream. Whilst we are also thinking about that, we'll also look at Mnangagwa. He was in Mat North and he rolled out a program of roads that are going to be rehabilitated. We are looking at it from a perspective of a political message, but let's deal with that issue first. Senzo and Felix, nyaye kupromisa zvinhu.
Yes, panyaya kupromisa zvinhu apa, let's understand that we are coming from a time where Zimbabweans were promised a very impossible 2.3 million jobs. And people take political promises very seriously, especially people in Zimbabwe, where the economy has not been developing. It's been going backwards. It's been importing almost everything. So people are taking these messages very seriously. What then our political leaders should do is to package their messages in such a way that they are realistic, they are achievable goals. They should not play to the gallery, so to speak. Vari kutraya kuti vaite zviri kunakidza vanhu panguva iyoyo, but zviri kuzobuda here? Is it possible? Funding yacho iri kubva kupi? We also need to be told that I'm going to do ABCD. But for me to do ABCD, I will need $2 billion. And I will get $2 billion from these minerals or from these investors. And they have to be tangible, those things. So it's one thing promising a lot of development after winning the elections, but it's a totally different thing doing those things. So we're coming from a period where we were promised impossible things like 2.3 million jobs, like the previous government saying they would realize billions from idle state assets, which never happened. So people are now taking these messages very seriously. So I hope Mr. Nelson Chamisa, in as much as he was thrown into the deep end when he least expected it probably, but he still needs to sit down with some more experienced elders in his party or some consultants of some sort, and get a message that is very realistic, that is achievable, because right now people are fact checking every single thing chavari kutaura. And the very next day you have people doing a research telling you, no, you cannot have a bullet train, we don't have even the rail track, I don't support that, we cannot have that, and so forth and so forth. Saka fact checking yawandisa zvasiyana na 2008 kwekuti vanhu vaigona ngoudzwa mapromise ezvino munhu wese akwanisa kucheka kuti zvinobuda here zvinhu izvi. Most people are able to do that now. So I think it undoes the message. In as much as his vision is a good vision, I must accept. But as long as tisiri kutaura kuti mari yacho iri kubva kupi, we cannot talk about the US. It has its own problems. We can not talk about funding from donors. They have their own issues to deal with in their home countries. So throughout vatitaurire ivo kuti tikaita chakati mari yacho inenge ichibva kupa. I was listening yesterday and he talked about smart agriculture. We want to do our way with command agriculture. He didn't say what is the problem with command agriculture. He said, I just want to do smart agriculture. Then everyone was like, yeah, you see now. So tinde deeper toona kuti smart agriculture yacho vari kureva kuti chii zvichada mari here inenge ichibva kupi, zvichada technical expertise here inenge ichibva kupi, pane zvichadiwa here, minda ichachinja ownership here, all those nitty gritties. I think vari kufanira kuita touch on those things rather than just playing to the gallery. So ipapo pane danger iyoyo kuti hazvizokwanisi kuachivhika zvinhu zvacho.
Let me turn now to our journalist, resident analyst Senzo Mpofu. Pane mapromise ari kuitwa. I know kuti kuVic Falls zvakanzi chaitwa Las Vegas, zvikanzi cash crisis ndichadai within 2 weeks, mamillionaire anenge adai for the converted, fari converted, vanotoda madiehard MDC supporters. It's fine. Imimi maanalyst muchizvitarisa, is that message resonating? Because maybe as a politician vaunawe vavonreva kupaniwa vekuti havabvi chorokati Chamisa shata zvakadi ndevake, but you also want to get new converts kuuya kuside kwako. Is this message powerful enough kuti ikwezve avo vari undecided at the moment?
Ndinobvumira nevekuti kune vanhu vanenge vangoti whatever happens mune rimwe bato hazvina basa, rangu nderangu, vanachandagwinyira. These people will always accept anything, any promise that is made by their leader, because they believe their party will always be right. Victoria Falls can be turned into a Las Vegas because it's one of the wonders of the world. What will stop millionaires spending a fortnight there, spending millions and millions of dollars per individual? It's a good dream. But I get this feeling that fine, you can promise people in Matabele not that this town can be a Las Vegas and so on, create employment and so on. But the strategy now is, when you go to a province, promise people things that are realistic within their provinces. If you're going to talk to people in Matabele and Victoria Falls, fine. But if you go to Gwanda and speak about tobacco, that means we have got no political program for that particular province. So he needs to spread his message according to the region. Fine. What Comrade Mnangagwa talked about when he promised people that the roads would be rehabilitated, or actually construction of...
It is also a political message in itself.
It is a political message, but now it's different from what was happening, because for years and years, people in Matabeleland were being told that these roads will be fixed. But now they are saying, look here, the old regime was like, we are going to do this, but there wasn't an evidence, that we are going to get capital from such a company. Now they are talking of a build, operate and transfer program. A big company comes in, they build those roads, they operate, get their monies, and then they transfer, which is almost realistic now, you see. So, which brings me to the smart agriculture thing. Politicians will always promise people the same thing, but they don't want to admit that it's the same thing. It has to sound different. Smart agriculture. I'm trying to really scratch my head to think what exactly is smart agriculture. Perhaps if it was energy and renewable energy, I would understand it. But now it's smart agriculture. You can't go and sell that idea of smart agriculture from a guy who grew up in grinding poverty, and all of a sudden he has been given a farm. He's doing tobacco farming. He has bought a car that he only saw through the eyes of a headmaster's child. He has bought that car through command agriculture. And then you talk about smart agriculture. You'll undo yourself, because they will be like, you want to introduce new ideas here, yet I'm already surviving and having a good life through what I'm doing. So there is a danger there. While least you want to argue for political sake, they should be careful that you might antagonize would-be voters.
The issue of unveiling or promising that this road will now start being constructed, could it also be the undoing of ZANU-PF? Because we have seen the Masvingo, the Bait Bridge, Chirundu Road, nothing has happened. And if you come on a political platform and say, through God's right road and one, will that not be undoing to also to ZANU-PF to say, look, we've had these promises before, but nothing has been done?
I think you are very right there, George, that it will be undoing to ZANU-PF and President Mnangagwa if some of the promises are not realized. People have been waiting for change for a long time. And when you have been waiting for change, you want quick results. So the mere change of a perception in Zimbabwe, the mere change of a government must actually result in something. And there are some quick wins that ZANU-PF can make by a stroke of the pen. One of the issues that have been contested in Zimbabwe is, for example, the issue of human rights, media laws, and all those kind of things. And the president can simply write off those laws, and they are gone by the day. They can be licensing community radio stations, television stations, and that's a huge perception change, which it does not cost much as compared to networking roads in Matabeleland or in Zimbabwe, where maybe the government is still struggling with the resources. We have even a huge strike right now. Doctors and nurses, people are suffering in hospitals, and they are saying we want money, and there's no money. So if you are saying we simply want to build roads and people are in hospitals, they are trying to make sense of where they are in terms of the promises that are being made. So Vamunangagwa and ZANU-PF, I think my promise must also be realistic. They have the advantage over MDC, over government, and they have the resources, and they are already deploying them. So the incumbent always has an advantage of sorts in any electoral process, in that they have the state machinery behind them. So the government business could also be somewhat quasi-ZANU-PF business, and it needs to be realistic. Whereas the opposition can make promises and can allow us to dream. And I will not really fault Chamisa when they say we want smart agriculture. Ini mkomo wangu Freeborn Mkundu panobva kunyamajura achitengesa fodya yake anorara 1 week ari kumaflows ndotozo mtu uyakumba mari yacho yoshayikwa paneta vanouya nechioko mhomwe achiti kana uchida kuti fodya yako itengeswe zvakati tipe mari yakati nezvimwe zvakadaro. So in the end you really see that yes, you have an agricultural based economy, but people are really not benefiting much from it. Look at the cost of inputs, and even command agriculture, issues of corruption. We have had cases with GMB where people were being arrested. So for me, when he says smart agriculture, it's really cleaning up some of this mess and the bottlenecks and corruption, and allowing the farmer to benefit. I was talking to a friend ari kuKenya karuzeva so kadiki azikwanzi tonoita mari isingaite amino some fruit yanorima ipapo naamai vake ndaikangana, and they export it. And we are saying, why can't we start looking at all those things and cleaning up this mess? smart agriculture, which is based on SMS. Someone in Mutoko sends a message to the market with the tomato and Spar says, okay, we are offering you so much, and they bring them. But look at those old men and women in these lorries. Some have accidents, they sleep at Mbaramsika and all those problems. So for me, when some of these things are talked about, yes, the politicians have a burden of clearly explaining their policies. But for the opposition, like I said, it's promises and dreaming. But the burden on ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa is that people want to deliver. So they are not only judging on the promises, but also on what he's doing right now.
Pane yamataura yema low hanging fruits kwekuti mimwe mitemo inogona kungostrikewa off. Ndichauya kwamuri mese. Panyaya iyoyo chichingava vamunangagwa vanogona vava pamberi, but vamwe vavo varipo here, imi maonero enyu ZANU iri kufamba here in one nyika sechinhu one kuti chabatwa na vision ya president Mnangagwa yasvika here uku, kana kuti vamwe vanogona kuti regai timbomira apa tisanyanya kupa vanhu zvakadai, tirambe takangomira mune zvekudhara zvaiti winisa.
I think the challenge in Mnangagwa, George, is that he is dealing with a system that has been put in place for 37 years. You have an entrenched system. You have a civil servant who is used to coming to work and putting their badge on the chair. Vobuda kuneta business ravo vodzoka. I was talking to someone and they were telling me that they can simply arrange trips that I know we are going to visit Bindura. We want our TDS travel on subsidy allowance, and they take it fuel just being. So people have been used to a system that allows them to literally do anything as long as you sing praises for the president. In this case, President Mugabe. So I'm hoping that President Mnangagwa would have a vision for Zimbabwe that is not beholden to anyone, but a vision that would create a legacy for him, that Zimbabwe is now somewhere. And in that regard, he does not need to befriend anyone. Those who support his vision must accompany him along this journey. And if there are those who were used to the old system where they were just benefiting, not working, they getting cars, fuel, whatever they wanted without working for it, corruptly doing so, then he must do away with them. So for me, I'm really hoping that when we talk of renewal and a new era, we are really talking of a renewal and a new era, not a continuation of the same system. So there's need for courage on his part to say, I'm going to do with this person if this ever happens. We heard him making good pronouncements. Ministers, members of parliament must declare their assets. The question is, when those declarations are made, will they be publicized? So that if I know that, no, this minister is lying about this building, about this house, then I can also say, no, Mr. Speaker said this member of parliament is lying about this. I know this information. So if you have statements that sound good, but maybe are not being implemented, then people, my brother here said, Mbonderi said, people are fact checking. So when these statements are made, we are also looking at the practicalities, what is really being done. So it will be good if the president and his ministers, members of parliament, can equally publicly in a public document or a website or whatever say these are our assets, we've declared them. Then we look as people and say, this is a good lead.
Felix, let me come to you on that same point. Does ZANU-PF have the courage to move away from the way Mugabe was doing things to the way now ED wants to do things? Vanogona here kuti takungovhura zvese kuti vanhu media muri kutaura yoyo mitemo inoita kuti vanhu vadaro vasununguke kutopfurikidza zvazvakutovapo izvezvi. Vamwe vanoti ZANU inotya kuti reform itself out of power. Is that a fair criticism of ZANU-PF, kana kuti pane zvamuri kutoona, pane program here yamuri kutoonawo imimi vana Felix yekuti ZANU icha deliver izvo zvatoti ma-freedoms iwaya?
Yes, George. Yeah, it's very important kuti Mnangagwa and his team implement, especially those what we call low-hanging fruits. Hazvidi mari, hazvidi investor, hazvidi ma-conferences. It's just a stroke of a pen or sign. Kuti look, this was a bad policy. Takuichinja. Now, looking at the days immediately after his inauguration, vakataura pa budget, I'm sure, through the finance minister, kuti we are doing away with the 49%. It was just so easy, isn't it? So, ndrukuona sekuti zviri very possible But now, it seems there has been some inertia, some resistance, sort of, as Mr. Mukundu said, that we are dealing with a system that had been built over 37 years. It was so intricate. So, pane ma resistance anenga achiitika most probably in the system. I remember listening to Permanent Secretary George Charamba around mid-January there. He said, look, while it's good to expect the government must take advantage of these your visa laws and so forth, isusu as civil servants, let's also be in a position where we can say, I've put in an honest day's work today, or I've knocked off at 4:30 when I should knock off at 4:30. Not to expect just change from the top without us also supporting that change. So I think he also has to make sure team fambirana in that regard. As to my low hanging fruits, akawandisa zvokuti sometimes you really wonder why they are not taking advantage of them. My media laws, I think, in a way, people are now free to say what they want. People have been criticizing him openly on his own page, and has been even responding to criticism, which is quite good. But he needs to go a step further and deal with my laws in terms of access to media by the political parties, the various political parties, which I think does not require my investors, honestly. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Uncle Senzo, let's cap on this issue that we could discuss it before we move to the next point. Can ZANU-PF take that far-reaching step? Kuti takuta zvimwe criticism anobva ku-opposition yekuti they can't reform to the extent of vamwe vanoti reforming themselves out of power. But I know ED is very confident, but I think is pronounced kuti tiri kuwina. But I think there's also the underlying fear kuti tikapa too much tinozoruza here kana kuti chi.
There is a Katamu rule kanoshandiswa mupolitics kakuti you can go so far and never further. Unogona kureforma then upedzera wazvigara. You see what I mean? You reform yourself out of power, and this is happening some months before elections. So probably anenge achitocalculate out fine ndatoappear one Facebook some form of liberalizing my channels okutaura nini, but I can't go further kuti aiwa woman nhasi mangwana madai munhu wese kada kufoma maradio akati kokwazouya maradio stations anoti every day yangove dande naye, they can undo him. Anenge adzere kumaruzevha kune bhesi rake, saka anenge achityawo futi. Ende kana uchitarisa panhangiri pamashandiro, the way civil servants conduct themselves, these are people who have been making money through unscrupulous means and just being plain lazy at times. Someone running his own business during working hours, even communication machinery using for his own business. You cannot rule out agents provocateurs within the system at the moment. They are there. You can't rule out that. They are there, those people. They can work against the government. But it is not the time for him to go witch hunting. He's about to get into elections. And he can't risk going into elections with an extremely divided ZANU-PF. He probably knows there are ministers who are against him. But what can he do? This is 3-4 months before elections. So that elementary radicalism, it would demand one opposition. It puts him in a tight corner. He can't. This is politics.
All right. The program is Late Night Politics, and we continue to discuss and unpack the messages that have come out from the main political parties so far as we go towards 2018. The people shall decide in 2018. To help me in my discussion, I have in the studio media consultant Rashweat Mukundu. Also, I have a political analyst and commentator Felix Mbonderi. He's also an engineering consultant, and also Senzo Mpofu. Now, the other issue yambotaurwa kwekutanga tichangotanga program yanga iri age factor. Is it an issue in this election? Because vamwe vari kuti 40-year-old versus a 75-year-old totomhanya nazvo. Is it an important factor, Rashweat?
It is an important factor to the extent that each party will try to take advantage of the age gap and use it for their own benefit. So if we look at the MDC, they are certainly saying we are talking of generational renewal. We are talking of a young person, fresh ideas. We are talking of someone who can use all the latest gadgets you can imagine. We are talking of someone who is in tune with the challenges that are facing the young people of Zimbabwe. And the majority of the people in Zimbabwe are young, 45 and below. That's the majority. And in Zimbabwe, the statistics say that chances of a young person coming from university, MSU, NAST, UZ, of getting a job right now is 2%. So all these young people have literally nothing to do. Some are selling airtime cards on the streets. Some are vending. Some are going into South Africa, into the diaspora, South Africa, or wherever. So the Chamisa then resonates with that grouping. And if you look at on the other side, President Emmerson Mnangagwa is a veteran politician. He has been in the mill for some time. He knows how the system works. And they are, from the ZANU-PF, they will say that we want a mature hand. We want someone who has, the grind of the political system, someone who can engage at the same level with the Ramaphosas and the other international leaders, someone who knows where the rain started beating them. As they say, so these are the contestations that chaita dzekuti pane vari kuti no takuda wechidiki anoziya matambudziko vamwe vati aiwa tinoda mukuru anoziya kuti system yacho inoshanda sei uyezve anoziya pazvakadonhera kuti aenda anozvinhu angatenderere mberi.
Because tiri kutarisa nyaya economy kuti I think Zimbabwe's problem is really economic. Toda kutoona kuti mashoulders aya anokwanisa kutakura ndeapi. In your view, as you analyze the situation, I'm not really looking at the age here. Chamisa can be 40, but do you think he has the temperament to lift the economy from the doldrums?
We have noted historically that my economic development programs are not really the burden of the men at the top. It's actually a good technical team that understands where the country must be going. If you look at the USA, look at Britain, look at South Africa, the technical teams that does the analysis and development of the programs is really what matters. What the leader must do is to motivate, is to show the way, to make the policy pronouncements and engage at the level where he or she is needed. So my hope is that we are not burdening either Chamisa or Mnangagwa to be the person to be drafting things and whatever. I think what they need to do is to put a strong team on the ground to run with the job. And this has been our challenge in Zimbabwe over the years, that we have had non-deserving people occupying positions. We have had people with a literal no experience in a given sector simply being appointed because they were of a given a certain political party or of a certain faction. So I'm hoping that this is the politics that will do away with and will reward a professionalism. We will use meritocracy as the foundation of appointment into business. And Vamnangagwa has slightly started with that, with Anachitando Mines and others. These are not politicians. These are business people who probably are not interested in party t-shirts and running around in rallies. And we're hoping that even if it's Chamisa or Mnangagwa continuing after the elections, they will look at technical capacity and then motivate and set the tone and set the pace for development. So I'm afraid to make a pronouncement here to say Chamisa or whatever will do, because it will trap us in the same politics of the past.
Okay, I know Uncle Senzo, you want to come in. Nyaya age ine kusimudza economy. Ndekupi vanhu vari kuti chiko kunze uko. Felix.
Okay, yes, George. Panyaya age, I think it could take us back takarivara to the old time tussle between former President Mugabe and Tsvangirai yekuti uyu akanoti ndakaenda kuhondo uyu handina. I take it to be the same kind of argument. It doesn't take the country forward. What we need right now is someone very inclusive in their approach. What I think, looking at when we are going to have elections, Murimuna July, let's say, or August, on a very cold, maybe very windy day, Tabesa on our elections, on a 22-year-old voting us in, I think that person is likely to give up and go on. Unlike a 40, 50, 60-year-old a voter who is likely to stand in the queue until they vote. So, message yeku package ataka group vanhu into ages, it can backfire zvitori very terrible. But well, being politicians vari kutry kuita zviri kuresonata nevanhu, as we are saying kuti the majority of the youth are unemployed, they've never received a pay slip in their life, so maybe they may not look at, they may take everything at face value. But tikada kuinda deeper toona kuti I think it's really a nani issue, that one. Besides tikatarisa toonawo kuti I think Vachamisa havasiwo chete vane 40-year-old candidate. I think we have another one for party inonzi ZIP. I think he's also 40 and quite articulate as well. Saka, how would you then distinguish between Mr. Chamisa and Mr. Kasia Muru, bless him, who is also 40 and is equally vibrant and so forth? Probably kuwa na nguva yakawanda ari political field. So the issue of age, I think it really it's pointless. For now, we need best ideas that take the country forward.
Ango Senzo, I hope I'm not kanganwa
it's a big issue. Fine, the young people will always say Chamisa should get in because he's a young and vibrant leader. He is the age, notaura nezve e-governance, ndo age yema-computer, nangirika, believer in the global village, vamwe vato archaic, havagoni kana kupinda kuTwitter, havagoni kuWhatsApp, havadi. So it can be a major challenge, kana chitaura izvozvo. But Rashweat anga chimbotaura nekuti it's not about the leader. If Comrade Chinamasa cannot tweet, he will always assign Terence Mkupe uti iwe mfana pane nyaya yakadakada ndikurowa apa pakadai. Can you come in? Yema technocrats iwao. Kuti let's do it this way because we have got technocrats who can what? And the danger pachanetsa apa. Chamisa is 40. And it's a fact that he is the main challenger to Comrade Mnangagwa. Tumadhara twakakomberedza musadiku. 75, 60 something, tunotoshanya izvozvo, timotakatobva nezuro. Because you may never know. We don't exist in a vacuum as Zimbabwe. These old guys will always talk. Even Kama, aimbosumudza musoro kuti no kuZimbabwe akuiti ngabaye chichichi. He has warmed up to Zimbabwe. Saka iyo nyaya age factor hanifungi kana kashanda.
Haishandi. Alright, varume nguva yedu iri kumhanya, but pane mapoints atoda kuti titi gwagwagwa, saka ndichangoti for each point yatinenge tichitaura toita a bit summarized so much because aya ndoda kuti abude iwaya, but nguva yedu yamhanya. Zviri kunakidza zvatiri kutaura panapa pa late night politics. Tiri kuona mamessage ari kubva kuma political parties. Zvino zviri kukubatai sei kumba uko? Muri kuzvitambira sei? Matodecide here kuti kwamuchavhotera ndekupi, kana kuti muchiri kunteerera muri kunzwa kuti zviri kubva kuma main candidates edu ndeapi? Imwe yakanetsa 100 days akapfuura zvanzi ED has failed. Rashweat, is that a fair assessment of candidate Mnangagwa?
No, I think it's an unfair assessment. 100 days, you are probably talking of something between slightly a few days, 3 months or so, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 months, 10 days.
Yes. So my concern is if someone is coming into power, they have to and let's look at the manner in which the transition happened. It was not your smooth transition where someone will just get in and everything is moving. So there was a time to set up the structures, put in a cabinet in place, start the policy pronouncements and all those kind of things. So I don't think it's a basis that you need to use to judge any of our leaders. I think let us judge them on what they promise and how they deliver. So I'm hoping that next time whoever wins after the elections does not trap themselves in the 100-day delivery time frame. It's not necessary. What you need to say is this matter we have discussed with our technical teams, we have discussed with the policymakers, we are going to resolve it in such a time, looking at the resources and also the realistic time frame upon which you can deliver. So I wouldn't want us to really judge the president on the 100 days. I think I would rather we judge him on what he's saying now and the action that is being taken to follow up. And if there are things that he is missing from his pronouncements, I would want action to be taken. President Mnangagwa has, for example, promised that we are going to have a free and fair election. So I'm also expecting that we will get to hear from him how issues of politically motivated violence will be dealt with, especially in rural areas. Are we going to have all parties accessing rural areas? Are we going to have all parties being heard on our national broadcaster, on the state broadcaster? Are we going to have observers accessible? Where are the ZEC coming out with its time frame? Where are the ballot papers to be printed? How? And all those kind of things. So for me, I think let us talk of the practicalities and not necessarily the days that we are sort of concerned with right now, 100 days. And fungo kuti zvinyasoburitsa urongwa hwekuti munhu angashande in 3 months ogadzirisa matambudziko asi kuti ngatarisire kuti zvavakavimbisa zviri kuitika here.
The reality though, Rashweat, I get your point that you and I have the benefit of looking at facts and analyzing them, but some of the electorate are really running with the idea that he has failed, there's no cash in the in the banks, there's so forth and so forth. Your assessment of the 100 days in brief, and then Uncle Senzo?
Yes, it's true. People might be saying yes, failed because at no cash in the bank after the 100 days, which I think is not Mr. Mnangagwa's problem as such. It should have been Basare, my spokesperson, kunyasotaura zviri achievable ku manage my expectations in those 100 days. I don't think I never thought at all kuti it was going to be 100 days zekuti titoona utsi hwakutobuda mafactories, pakutobuda motikari dzagadzirwa, pakubuda products hembe dzasonwa and so forth. But 100 days dzekuti munhu ari kuita basis yegovernment yake kuti look, inoda kubuilda government iri inclusive yekuti totora ma-oppositions as fellow Zimbabweans, tobvisa Zimbabwe from exclusion toisa pa international inclusion, and toita ma-environment yekuti tokwanisa kuinvite anyone who can come to observe and monitor our elections. So if you look at those achievements, zvekuti 100 days yavo vanga vari munhu ari kutora marecipe ake, ma-ingredients ake, ari kutarisa kuti what do I need and where will I get the resources from. If you look at that basis, I think he has done quite well. Vakwanisa kuset up that environment.
100 days tikamhanyira kuti cash ngaivepo mubank, tichadzokerapo paya pamwe mazuva eGNU munhu achiwithdraw $2,000 paATM. US dollar not withdraw 2,000 per day. Kuzona tuwafana toku Asia tuya tisingatauri tuya turi 100 tichiddraw 2,000 per day. Mozochema futi mota kusina cash. Because we sevanhu at times we become emotional. Tongoti izvi ngadai cash yawanikwa yawe hongu iri kunetsa ende inotambudza munhu wese, but we must be careful. Ikangozowanda futi fanika zvakaitika zviya ndo zvinosakisa izvozvo.
Kuti munhu anogona kundodzisa printing press zvinoenda kuma elections rega maprint vanhu vongoona yavepo asi inokonzera inflation futi.
Wazviona manje 100 days ka atichatauri politics every day. It's a win pa 100 days baba. Akusina pasina ningi even opposition tatanzwa wako manje. Where opposition person, why you do person with somebody in Zimbabwe who is expressing his own ideas, which I want my country to be run this way and that way. Yakatofa personaning. It's an achievable nangre. And the Kawana foot for 100 days ago, our president who are approachable as recalled and aloof. To achievement. It's not going to opposition because one of negative. At least one should balance their criticisms.
Finally, gentlemen, I know time maybe I to jika pane two factors and ruled out Rashweat Mukundu nazo, the Mugabe factor and the Kupe factor. Will they affect the top candidates? The Mugabe factor is rambling, is saying things, and also in the MDCT, the Dr. Kupe factor, will it affect Mr. Chamisa's chances?
Well, regarding former President Robert Mugabe, I think the hope of every citizen is that he would gracefully rest in retirement. And certainly he will cause some problems for ZANU-PF because he still has a significant following within the party. So if he's ready to step out and start attacking his former party, attacking President Emmerson Mnangagwa, then it may somewhat destabilize the support base of ZANU-PF. But my hope and my advice, if I was ever at ZANU-PF, is that ZANU-PF must stick to its electoral message and simply ignore him. Move on. I think we don't want to be taken back to the politics of the past. Regardless of what happened in 2017, Zimbabwe has moved on. Whether we like it or not, the legalities, illegalities, or whatever, I think Zimbabwe has moved on. Then the same with the Kupe question. Yes, it will. The MDC, Nelson Chamisa, the MDC Alliance, will need to deal with it very carefully. We are not only talking of a gender dimension, we are also talking of a tribal dimension, and the MDC will need to come up with a message that shows that they are above all these issues that the Kupe supporters are raising as of concern to them.
Felix, the Mugabe and the Kupe factors, will they affect the two top candidates?
Starting with the Kupe factor, I think yes, it will affect the MDC Alliance candidate in the sense that if you look at the current MPs, judging from the results of 2013, I think vakawanda vacho vanga vachibva ku area dziri kurepresentwa na Dr. Kupe, and Dr. Kupe kuti vamire vari mukona iyo yavari kumira, it's because she knows kuti vane masupporters avo, vane vanhu vavo vari kuvatsigira ikoko, MPs vana Mr. Love Momoyo, vana Bebe vari kukwanisa kumira navo. So to the extent that pane vanhu vakadaro vari kumira navo in their own corner, it means yes, zviri kukwanisa zvinogona kuaffecta MDC Alliance candidate kana zvikasaenderwa zvakanaka. Then coming to the issue here, former president, well, I listened to him, and he said pakaita a new dimension, a new party challenge izvi, he might support it. So to that extent, yes, it might also affect the ruling party candidate. But as Mr. Mukundu said, I think they need to just focus on delivering right now. It's too late to try and fight Mr. Mugabe. I think they should just let him rest and focus on delivering.
The Kupe factor. It's true, na Felix, a significant chunk of supporters is not going to win. Because you don't tamper around with tribal politics in Zimbabwe. People are so sensitive. That's why you saw ZANU-PF, Poimbonzi, Mateveland, in a vice president and chairman. But Comrade Mnangagwa, one out, Izaziti, Yotandisa chairman, Kumanyika land. Uno balance as finish. Ukarega ma supporters, Aquachit Kupe dissident. Kupe ngadzokero Mateveland, language yakambouraisa vanhu waparara. Is a reality ripo. Come to Comrade Robert Mugabe factor. Akuchisina wakomana. Ukabuda muzanu kana ngwaru muzanu wapera. That's reality. The National New Patriotic Front is you will try by all means. But
maybe avasikuda kuwina kavasivaruda ngokonzera split vote or divide or whatever, I don't know.
Aiwa hakuna nyaya yekusplita vote hakuna. Party izvozvi zvikakuchaita 120 parties gavo zvokuti kunosplita mavhoti ichi hakuna zviya, kunotsva kuti maparty tu. but your party, it will depend how they play with the dynamics in divisions. How danger and their tribal iruitika uku kwa mdara uku akusina ya bobu ya National Patriotic Front akusina nekuti vanhu vanoziva kuti tikaruza paka tichamakana. They know this game, how they've been dealing with their enemies. Vanototya vanhu vacho. That's why iko zvino kune vashoma vari kubuda vakuti hatisi kusupport. Munhu anogona kuita problem probably it can be Joyce Mjuru, because anototi inini ndakabva kare nezvinhu zvakati. Mtiniro was never in the original Zanu. That's why people are saying yava yechizezuru regardless of what my political dangere zvine danger izvo zviya. So National Patriotic Front hapana game.
All right, we wait to see. Rashweat Mukundu, we are only advising Chamisa how to handle the Coupe issue. What would you say? How should it be handled?
Well, I think Nelson Chamisa must not be on the offensive against Coupe. If Coupe decides to move out of the MDC, then that's okay. I want to say that there are as many people who are with Chamisa in Matabeleland. I think we saw when some of them were arrested. These are Ndebeles who were arrested. Some of them are even went to court to claim back the provincial office, and they were given the provincial office by the High Court. So for me, there's no need for any attacks or any offensive bad language or whatever. I think they should allow you to make decisions on their political future. They should focus on their programs.
Mm-hmm. Finally, as we wrap up, what do we expect as somebody who is expecting to vote in 2018? My candidates, in brief, maonero ako zvinhu zvatofanga kutarisawo isusu sevanhu vanoda kutarisa zvinovaka Zimbabwe ramangwana. Macandidates atofanga kutarisa. I know kuti kuma MP futi tokunyanya kutarisa kuma president, but kuma MP futi kunoda kuongororwa kuti munhu yakamira sei development yeZimbabwe. Rashweat,
I'm looking at both the mainstream political parties, the main political parties, ZANU-PF and MDC Alliance, to entrench internal party democracy. We want people with the capacity to rise within the political parties to leadership as councillors, as members of parliament, so that whoever then wins is a capable team to appoint into cabinet. So and the internal party politics means that you allow an open the democratic election of candidates. You also remove or do away with the violence, threats and intimidation. So for me, I will be very much looking at political parties that will have internal party democracy.
Felix?
Yes, internal party democracy, both ku MDC Alliance and ZANU-PF. I think we saw the way Mr. Chamisa rose kuti zvakaita ma-contestation. So it would be better kana pachikwanisa kuitwa ma-open congress ona chicontesta on the basis of ideas like we saw in South Africa recently. I would expect to see the same ku ZANU-PF kana yakuzoita ma-elections ayo, ma-primaries and so forth. Vanhu vachicontesta zviri vigorous, zviri open, pasina kutyisidzirana. Right now ma-rural areas, ma-opposition parties including MDC vari kwanisa kuenda kwazvimba, vari kwanisa kuenda anyway, pasina police iri kuva deny that opportunity, pasina posa and so forth zviri kuitika. So I think takutarisira kuti ngavachitipawo ma-message at least ari realistic kuti vakati vanoda kuita zvakati wotiudza kuti mari yacho ichabva ku, because whatever they say will require money. Zvisingadi mari wotiudza kuti zvazvidi mari will do it and so forth. I think ndo zvatiri kutarisira.
Uncle Senzo, as we wrap up.
As a newsman, I'm still waiting for the MDC Alliance internal democracy program. Kuti vacha campaign ase ma primary. Last week we received the ZANU-PF one yokuti ma primary vanomira pamberi pevanhu vachikweshana vari 3 kuti ndoda kuita MP. We are still waiting. I think they've started on a good
message. We all know people 10 minutes.
Last week we are still waiting for format MDC Alliance. But I think so far they've started well. So far so good.
All right. I hope I'll bring in the gentleman again to talk when Tao Kuzauti, who is going to be contesting in the primary elections, and we'll analyze as what the message is. But for tonight, I think it has been quite riveting because the time just flew by with my guests here, very clear and very concise, analyzing the message so far from the main political parties, what they have to offer. I have to thank Rashweat Mukundu, is a media consultant. Thanks for coming through, Rashweat.
Yeah, thank you.
I've also got to thank Felix Mbonderi. He's an engineering consultant, but he's also a political analyst and commentator. Thanks, Felix.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Zimbabwe.
Last but not least, thanks, Uncle Senzo. He's our resident analyst. He's best yet, StarFm. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you.
Catch me again next week for another edition of the Late Night Politics. But for tonight, it's good night. Keep listening to StarFM. It sounds good all the time.
You've been listening to Late Night Politics on Star FM, taking an in-depth look at the Zimbabwean political scene. Join us again next week, Monday, same time on Star FM.